I've been marketing for 18 years, signed over 2,000 clients, generated over 100,000 leads, and made 1.4 million online. And I'm about to compress 18 years of brutal marketing truths and lessons into this one video. Lesson number one, the algorithm doesn't hate you. I talk to online business owners almost every day who are feeling frustrated because they're creating lots of content and they're spending a lot of time doing it, but they're not getting the views and visibility and engagement that they deserve. The good news is the algorithm doesn't hate you. The bad news is your content sucks. This is why you're not getting visibility and traction. Now, there are two keys to success if you want to thrive when it comes to creating content and get views and visibility. The first is you got to get really good at capturing attention. And the second is you got to get really good at retaining that attention once you capture it. So capturing attention is all about that first few seconds of the video. It's the headline in your social media post. It's the thumbnail in your YouTube videos. How do you get someone who's scrolling through social media to stop the scroll? Super important. Retaining attention, on the other hand, is once someone's paying attention to you, how do you make sure they don't jump off to something else or click away or scroll past you? In order to illustrate how important this is, I want to show you two recent YouTube videos that I uploaded. Now, one of these videos was a massive flop, and one of them actually did pretty well. Can you guess which one did better than the other? Here's the interesting thing. So the video on the left got about 2.1% click-through rate. Meaning if YouTube showed this in front of 100 people, on average, about 2% of those people clicked. The video on the right, on the other hand, had a 4.3% click-through rate. So twice the number of people on average clicked that video. Here's what's interesting. This video didn't just get 2 times as many views. This video actually got 5 times as many views. This is why capturing attention when it comes to your content is so important, because there's an exponential return. If you can just get a little bit better at capturing someone's attention in the first place, you will be rewarded with a lot more visibility on these platforms. Now, why is the video on the right so much better? Number one, it makes a very bold claim. SEO is dead. That opens a little bit of like a curiosity gap for me. It's like, wow, that's a bold claim. I want to know more about that. And also this line here, do this instead, creates more curiosity because the question in my mind is, well, what is it I'm supposed to do? Really great headlines, really great thumbnails, really good openers are great at creating what's called a curiosity gap. What this means is that you present some information that opens a loop in my mind. And in order to close that loop and alleviate the tension that I feel from having that open loop in my mind, I have to click it in order to get the resolution, in order to close that loop. So how can you get better at capturing someone's attention? Through the first line of your social media post, through the headline and thumbnail if you're creating YouTube content, making sure that your email subject lines are as juicy as they can possibly be, creating those curiosity gaps that inspire people to click and check out what you're doing. Now, on the flip side, once you have someone's attention, it doesn't do any good if that person bounces 10 seconds into watching a video. Doesn't really matter, right? So the second piece of this is you have to get really good at retaining attention. And in order to illustrate how important that is, I want to show you 2 examples of YouTube videos that I recently posted. Again, one that did decently well and one that did way better. So let's take a look at the first 10 seconds of each of these videos. Let me ask you an honest question. How many clients have you missed out on over the last 6 months because your marketing strategy isn't clear? And then let's check out the other one. I've signed over 2,000 clients, and I'm about to share my best sales secrets that will make you millions. All right, so there's 5 sales secrets I want to share with you. Which one is more likely to keep your attention? The second one, right? There's a very clear payoff of watching in the first 10 seconds. I get straight into the content. I don't drag things out longer than it has to be. This is one of the biggest mistakes that people make on YouTube, by the way, is they make their intros way too long. So making sure that you're getting to the meat of what it is that you're going to share, not dragging things out, and having a very compelling intro to what you share is going to be essential when it comes to retaining attention. Because honestly, if you don't make a good first impression in those first few seconds, someone's just going to bounce. So in short, capturing attention and retaining attention. The two biggest keys to success when it comes to creating content. Now, before we get to lesson number 2, if you're an online business owner who wants more leads and clients ASAP, my $1 Million Marketing Strategy Guide will show you how. Click the link in the description down below to go download it now for free. The second lesson is nobody cares about you. If you think your job in marketing is to convince other people of how great you are, of how credible you are, of how amazing you are at what you do, you are going to fail. The best and most successful business owners know that marketing is not about them. It's about their ideal clients. As an example, I want to share with you 2 very interesting outreach messages. This first email is one that I actually received from someone who is pitching me to basically bring their person on my podcast. And I want you to notice a couple things in this email. So the headline says, "Introducing Ryan," and I blocked out this person's last name, "a visionary in entrepreneurship." And the message starts, "After coming across the Jason Moss Show, Online Marketing and Business Growth Podcast." First of all, this is just copied and pasted. My God, they could have done better with that. "We were immediately drawn to the quality of your content, your ability to connect with those audiences." Vague, generic, copy and pasted sentence. You can tell they didn't actually listen to my podcast. "It's with respect for your work that we'd like to reach out to you on behalf of Ryan, an entrepreneur whose journey in the business world is as fascinating as it is inspiring." They go on, "In a conversation with Ryan, your listeners can expect insights on blah, blah, blah. We believe Ryan's perspectives on strategic marketing, persuasive communication will resonate with your audience. We're eager to explore the possibility of Ryan appearing on your podcast." Notice how many times Ryan appears in this email. Ryan, the subject line, Ryan, introducing Ryan. It's all about Ryan. Do I care about Ryan? No. If I have a podcast, what do I care about? I care about getting more people to listen to that podcast. That is why I'm in business doing a podcast, because I want more people listening. So on the flip side, I want to show you an example of a message that I send out when we're booking podcasts. And this, by the way, gets a 47% response rate. The subject line, "Love your podcast, Mark." This is an actual email that I sent out. "Hey, Mark, one of my team members just sent me your embodiment blank podcast. I was listening this afternoon and really love the work you're up to. Your solo episode on how to coach the body was great. Loved hearing your insights as well. You talk about the importance of practice, blah, blah, blah." So you can tell I actually listen to the podcast, right? I'm a business coach who leads an audience of about 30,000 coaches online, including quite a few who integrate embodiment work into the work they do and are very interested in the work you're up to. So what am I doing? I'm building a bridge between him to me. "Would love to spread the word and share your podcast with my audience, as I think there's a ton of coaches in there who would benefit from listening. Wondering if you're open to doing a guest interview. I'd love to promote the episode to my audience after it airs." What am I doing? I'm solving his problem. I'm coming to him with an opportunity to grow his listenership, not saying, "Please, please, please book me. I want to get on your podcast." This is why this message gets a 47% response rate and why we've used it to book so many guest appearances on podcasts, because I met this person where they were. And instead of making about me, I made it about them. So the more that you remember in your marketing that nobody cares about you and that marketing is really all about the other person, the more successful you will be. And that brings us to lesson number 3, which is stop selling what they need. One of the biggest mistakes that I see when it comes to people marketing their stuff online is they have this thing that they know everybody really needs. Like, for example, I work with a lot of coaches, and every coach talks about how important self-love is and how important all the inner work is and how important mindset work is. The problem is they put all that stuff out there and nobody cares and nobody wants to buy. Why? Because most people are not waking up in the morning saying, "You know what I really need more than anything else is self-love." Even though you and I both know that self-love is probably the most important thing that they actually need. So how do you reconcile this as an online business owner, as someone who's marketing? Well, what you do is you always talk about the thing that they actually want. Even if you're doing deep inner healing and mindset work, you talk about the result or the outcome of that, which is helping them grow their business or get more clients or find the relationship of their dreams. And you can still do all the mindset work and all the inner healing and all that stuff on the back end in terms of your programs, but it's not something that you talk about in your marketing. The key to success when it comes to your marketing is you have to sell what people want, not what they need. The better that you get at this, the more successful you will be. And that brings us to lesson number 4, which is the law of relationships. If you violate this law, by the way, this is one of the biggest things that I see holds people back from getting clients consistently. For example, I had a client I work with relatively recently who came to me because he was spending tens of thousands of dollars on ads and he wasn't getting any traction. And I looked at his funnel, and here's basically what he was doing. He had an ad that was running to a landing page, and on the landing page, there was a VSL. It was 10 minutes long, and at the end of the video, there was a pitch to book a call with him. There was no follow-up after this video. He wasn't adding people to his email marketing software. Basically, he was expecting total strangers to go click an ad, watch a video of his that was 10 minutes long, and then get on a call. This is like trying to sleep with someone on the first date. It doesn't work. It's kind of sleazy. People don't like it. Yet I see so many people, when it comes to their marketing, building out funnels and landing pages and systems and automation, trying to do this. And they wonder why it doesn't work, or they wonder why they get crappy clients, people who they don't enjoy working with, people who have high refund rates, people who don't care about what you do because they just met you yesterday. So when I teach marketing, I teach a very different process, which is all based on this idea of building an audience. So I've got all these different ways that I can bring people into my audience. Maybe it's ads or YouTube organic, which obviously you're watching right now. Maybe it's Instagram. Maybe it's podcasts. Maybe it's guest posting. And then people come into my audience and I'm not selling to them on day one. My goal is, let me warm them up a little bit. Just like, if you go out on a date, I don't want to sleep with you on the first date. That's kind of weird. Maybe we have a good date, then we have a good second date. So I'll go ahead and I'll create lots of content for these people, and maybe live trainings and emails. And they're seeing lots of my stuff and they're warming up to me over time. Now, I don't want to talk to someone who comes into my audience who's like 3 days old. I'd rather them sit in this pool for 3 months, 6 months, and get to know me a little bit. And then I can create what's called conversion events, which are basically ways that I can capture those people who are right on the fence in my audience, who are ready to work with me, using something like a masterclass or a launch, and basically capture that attention and convert it into leads and clients. Now, the advantage to this is the people who end up signing up to work with me have been following me for months on average. It means they're more familiar with me, the way that I teach, my style. Refund rates are a lot lower. I enjoy working with these clients so much more. And this is the model, by the way, that I teach and implement with every single one-on-one client that I work with to help them grow their business and get more leads and clients. It works incredibly well, and I've used it to generate well over $1 million in sales online. So are you trying to sleep with someone on the first date? Or are you warming people up? Are you building your marketing funnel in alignment with the way that relationships actually work? You will be so much more successful if you do the latter. And that brings us to lesson number 5, which is message, strategy, platform. Most of the questions that I get when it comes to growing a business online are related to platform or strategy. Is LinkedIn better than Instagram? Or should I be posting YouTube videos or Reels on Instagram? These are the questions that keep most online business owners up at night. Almost no one is talking about messaging, which is, what do I put in all this content? Yet message is the most important thing. Messaging is 80% of your success. And most people spend way too much time focused on strategy and platform and not enough time focused on their message, on the words that they're using in all of their content. So when it comes to the hierarchy of what really matters and what you should be focusing on in your marketing, the first thing is getting your messaging right. By the way, we have a whole framework called belief-based messaging when I work with clients one-on-one to help them with this, that helps you dial in the 8 core beliefs that every single piece of your content needs to help someone connect to in order for your messaging to be successful. You got to have that piece first. Then from there, you got to have a strategy to get that content out in the right way, in the right platform that someone's actually going to be able to hear it. But those things are like the 20%, the 10%. If you don't have the right message, it doesn't matter. And honestly, if you have a good message, the strategy and the platform isn't as important. So focus on messaging first above all else, then move to strategy and platform. And don't lose sleep over the second and third. They're not nearly as important as you might think. And that brings us to lesson number 6, which is don't build your castle on someone else's sand. I made this mistake early on in my marketing journey. In high school, I was a singer-songwriter. I built a big platform on MySpace, and I spent countless hours building an audience on that platform. Then one day, MySpace disappeared, and I lost 20,000 followers. It seemed like overnight. And because I had no direct way of communicating with those people beyond the platform of MySpace, essentially my audience disappeared with it. So many online business owners make this mistake. If you look at what's happening right now in the US with TikTok, there's about to be a ban with that platform. I literally just heard from someone this morning who's freaking out because she built a massive audience on TikTok and has no way of capitalizing on that audience beyond the platform itself. So don't make the same mistake that I did. These platforms are awesome ways to reach people, but make sure that you have a strategy in place to take people off the platform and onto either an email list or an SMS list. Those are the two nurture platforms that I recommend, the biggest bang for your buck, so that you can own your audience directly and protect yourself against the risk of a platform going down and losing that audience that you worked so hard to build. And before we get to the next lesson, remember, if you're an online business owner who wants more leads and clients, my $1 Million Marketing Strategy Guide will show you how. So click the link in the description down below to go download it now. And that brings us to lesson number 7, which is focus before diversity. Warren Buffett once said, diversification may preserve wealth, but concentration builds it. And I love this because it highlights one of the biggest mistakes that I see online business owners make when it comes to their marketing. So many people go for diversity too early. I see their marketing strategy and they're posting on 5 or 6 or 7 different platforms. Here's the honest truth. When I look at what has been most successful for the clients I work with, it's focus in the early days. And then as you grow your business, the strategy shifts. So if you're making under 10K a month, my recommendation is focus on 1 or 2 core platforms. Rather than going broad, focus on Instagram and LinkedIn and maybe double down on those and really dial those strategies in there and get those 2 platforms working before you add more. As you grow your business, my advice changes from focus to minimizing risk. If you have all your lead flow coming from one platform, that puts you at a significant risk, because if that platform shuts down your account, I know so many people, for example, that have had their ad account shut down, and because all of their traffic is coming from Facebook ads, they're screwed. Versus if you have 3 or 4 platforms that are all generating leads in your business, if one pillar goes down, the whole ship doesn't go down, right? So my focus for later stage entrepreneurs shifts to diversification to minimize risk. But that's only relevant if you're scaling past 10K, 15K, 20K a month. That's when we really start focusing on that stuff. So if you're before that point, don't worry too much about diversification. Just focus on getting 1 or 2 core platforms up and running and solid, and then diversify as you move on. Focus before you diversify. Marketing is one key to success, but if you're serious about growing your business, it's also essential that you learn how to sell like a pro. So go check out this video next, where I break down my biggest sales secrets that will make you millions.